Data is the new oil, and Power BI is the tool that companies are using to unlock it. That is what we're going to talk about today in Power of the BI. So here's the deal. Data is the new oil, and Power BI is the tool that companies are using to unlock it. So your question is, Tarad, what makes you so qualified to talk to me about Power BI, to tell me about Power BI, to give me any instructions on Power BI? So here's the deal. I'm not going to tell you that I'm an expert. I'm not going to tell you that I am the best Power BI developer this side of the ocean, the Atlantic or the Pacific. I'm going to let you figure that out on your own. Anyway, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. Serious talk. So just a little bit about myself. My name is Tarad Robinson. I am, I want to say, I'm gonna actually count the number of certifications that I have before my next video. But today I'm going to say that I am somewhere between a 7 to 9 time certified engineer with Microsoft. Now, with that said, I do not work for Microsoft. I am this video is not sponsored by Microsoft in any way. What I do is I use Power BI. Power BI is a tool that is a Microsoft tool. It's a Microsoft application. It's a Microsoft product. But I use Power BI as my tool of choice for business intelligence. Now, certifications that I have includes a data engineer, artificial intelligence associate, fabric engineer, but most importantly, Power BI developer, Power BI or data analyst person for what would be considered to be a Microsoft specialist, right? Now, with that said, I tell people all the time, just because you're certified or just because I'm certified does not mean that I am the best at what I do or even good at what I do when it comes to being a Power BI developer. It just puts the icing on the cake. So with my students, with my mentees, with those that are in my VIP circle, I definitely emphasize that, hey, just because you get certified does not mean you are a specialist or you are good at what you do. It's just the icing on the cake. It's just words on your resume. What makes you good at what you do is, can you do the job? Can you do the job? Do you have the reps? And those that are in my VIP circle, yes, they are required to have a Microsoft Power BI certification or a Microsoft Fabric certification. But that does not mean that they're good at what they do. It's the icing on the cake for who we are as MVPs. Did I say VIP? I think I said VIP. Yeah, it's not VIP. It's MVP. MVPs within our circle. So with that said, we're going to move right along. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about Power BI. I'm not going to try to go too deep, too in depth, because I know you could or you could not have a great deal of knowledge with tech, or you could just be logging on to this channel for the very first time and you're trying to get an idea of a tech field that you can get into, that you can learn and go out there and potentially, I'm assuming probably, I hate saying assuming, but potentially going out there and maybe doubling, tripling your income, or maybe saving some time or having more time during the day. And we can talk about that later as we get into this. But you know, maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to work hybrid, maybe you want to work remote. I don't know. I mean, everyone has a different story, and we can talk about your story when we get into, well, we can't really talk about your story today, but if you decide to get into the MVP circle or have a greater interest in learning Power BI and taking my course, Power of the BI, and maybe then becoming a member of the MVP circle, you know, I'll get a chance to really get an understanding of why you are interested in learning Power BI. So that's just a little bit about me. As far as why companies are interested, why companies are really moving into Power BI these days. So here's the deal. Companies have been collecting data for a long time. They've been collecting data for a long time. For instance, let's just say a receipt. When you go to your favorite electronics store and you have you get a receipt, for the several products that you may buy at that time. Well, that receipt really is more than just a piece of paper. There is data that is collected on that receipt. I'm going to say in that receipt, but I'm going to clarify that just a little bit here. Now, you say, yeah, Tarad, I know that there's data that's collected on a receipt. You can see the date that you made the purchase. You can see the items that you purchased. You can see how much the purchase actually was and what was the taxes that was included on the purchase. But there's really a lot more data that is collected or can be collected. So, business intelligence, artificial intelligence, this is not something new, right? Let me just get just a little bit deeper into that. So, of course, there's a barcode on your receipt. Either a barcode, there may even be a QR code these days, but for the most part, historically, there's been a barcode. So if you go and you make a return, you return either the full purchase or a partial of the purchase that you have that's included in that receipt. The customer service person, the cashier, the sales rep, whomever you take it back to, what they're going to do is they're going to take their wand and they're going to scan the barcode, or they're going to place the barcode over a scanner. And that barcode is giving all the information about that particular purchase. Again, we already know, hey, how much did it, we already know what's included in the receipt, how much the purchase was, what was included in the purchase, the number of items in the purchase, the taxes in the purchase, and the date. I mean, that's pretty standard. But there are items that are not included in that barcode. For instance, what is your name? Now, your name may be purchased may be on the receipt. I doubt it. I highly doubt that your name is going to be on the receipt. You may see maybe a first name, last initial, and really, I don't even think that that's really security-wise, data security-wise. I don't even think that that's a good idea. Some situations you may see that, but I doubt it. But in that barcode is giving the information. Who you are, what's your name, what's your first name, what's your last name, maybe even what's your middle initial if you use the credit card, or your middle name if you use the credit card. What's your email address? What city did you buy this product in, and what city do you live in? That's important because you could be out of town. For instance, you could be taking your kids out of town away to college. You're using your credit card at major stores, and you made the purchase at a major store out of town, but now you're back home, and now you need to make the return back home, right? At the end of the day, you've got two different scenarios. You got a scenario to where that credit card was used away, and now you're bringing it back home, or bringing the item back home, and you're returning it somewhere else. That barcode on that receipt is giving has the ability to give all that information. How long have you been shopping at that store? How many times have you shopped at the store that you're making the return to? How many times have you shopped at the store that you bought the product from? How much have you spent at the store that you've made the return to? How much have you spent at the store that you made the return to? That's just basic information that's on there, right? This is just simple data, but this type of data is important to the company that you're buying from, or that you are, that you're buying from. I was about to say that you're partnering with, but you're not necessarily partnering with. You're actually a customer. So the store that you're buying from, that's information that they need, because now they can take this data, and now they can say, okay, well, cool. This person X has spent X amount of dollars with us in the last 30 days. They spent X amount of dollars with us in the last 90 days. They spent X amount of dollars with us in the last 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 years, right? They typically make purchases. They typically make small purchases within certain months. They typically make large purchases within these months. they typically use the credit card ending in 1000. But they have used the credit card using 2345, right? All of this information is data that's being collected by these companies that we are doing business with, that we're making daily, that we're having daily transactions with, right? So that's why Power BI, and the BI in Power BI stands for business intelligence. The reason why all of that is important is because these companies are collecting this data, and over time, over the years, they've been collecting data. They've got more data than what they really even need at this point. But, they're able to take parts of that data and now build on what it is. And when I say don't even really need, that's really kind of, that's really, I'm not gonna say not true, but the more data you have, the better you are in making decisions, right? So I'm not gonna say more data than what they really need. But if you can understand, the more data you have, the better decisions you can make, or the better you can understand someone. For instance, the more you talk to someone, the more you know about that person. If you don't talk to that person, you probably don't know anything about that person. But if you've heard that person have a conversation, even if they weren't talking to you, you're able to collect what they said, and that's part of the data that you accumulated about them. And now you've got a little bit more information about that person, right? Same thing it is when you have companies, or when companies collect data on individuals. The more they know about that person, the better they are in being able to either serve that person or deciding that is the person that they don't want to serve. Yeah, I said it. They can decide whether or not that is the person that they do not want to serve. At the end of the day, what we're talking about is data. So typically companies in the past have been collecting this data and storing it in spreadsheets. They're collecting it, they're storing it in spreadsheets, or some, I'm not gonna say archaic, but some very, very general databases, to where, it's really kind of hard to see, what really is in this data, what's really in the database. For instance, let's say you have a spreadsheet. Let's say you have a spreadsheet, and on that spreadsheet there may be there are titles at the top of the spreadsheet, and in one column is name, one column first column is name, second column is last name, third column is address, fourth column is city, then the next column is state, then the next column is zip code. Right. Let's just use that. Let's not even go too much even deeper than that. Let's just use that personal information. And then let's say you have in that spreadsheet with just those columns: first name, last name, address, city, state, zip code, phone number, and email address. Those are the 8 columns that we're using. So you're like, well, that's not really a whole lot of data. That's just 8 columns, right? That's just 8 columns. So let's say you have 10 individuals within those columns, right? Well, within those columns, 10 individuals that are listed within those columns. It's not hard for you to go through and see who is where. Let's just say that you wanted to go find Mark Twain. You went to Mark Twain's, you went to the row that had Mark Twain's information on it, and you've got Mark Twain's email address. Not hard at all. Let's say you have 25 rows of names, and let's just say that Damon John is the name you're looking for, and you're trying to get Damon John's phone number. So you're gonna go through it, you're gonna look down, you're gonna look there, okay, cool. Now you have Damon John, and you go over to you want his email address, you go to his email address, and now you found Damon John. Let's say Robert Johnson. So let's say you have 1,000 rows, and now you're trying to find Robert Johnson. Now it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be that easy to find Robert Johnson in 1,000 rows and just going do. But what you can do is you can sort that spreadsheet. If you sort that spreadsheet, let's say you sort it by last name. So now you've got all the last names on there, and you get to Robert Johnson, and you're like, boom, I've got Robert Johnson's phone number, right? Now, of course, the more information you have in that spreadsheet, the harder it's going to be to just go through it and try to find it, just looking for a name, looking for a number, email address, or whatever. But you can sort the data, right? So now let's say you have 10,000 rows of data, right? So let's say you want to find Robert Johnson again, but now, hey, Robert Johnson is a pretty common name. Robert Johnson is a pretty common name. So now when you sort it, you got 10,000 rows of data, and you got 100 Robert Johnsons, right? So now you got to know, well, what's his last name? I mean, what's his middle name, right? You got to find some other criteria. So where I'm going with that is, when you look at stores like major retail stores that sell thousands of products and have tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of transactions on a daily, weekly basis, and you're trying to find one transaction, that becomes a challenge, right? Think about being a manufacturing company, and you manufacture 100 parts, you manufacture 100 different parts of a particular part. For instance, a company that make a screw could make 100 different types of screws, and then they may make 1,000 different types of nuts and 10,000 different types of bolts. Now they're selling those to companies who are buying millions of those projects. I'm gonna not say millions. Say a company is buying hundreds of thousands of those products, hundreds of thousands of screws, right? Because screws probably come in a box, and you may get 1,000 in a box. We'll say 100 in a box. So a company is buying 100 boxes. We'll say you got, say that company has 200 clients, and those 200 clients are buying 200 boxes each time with 100 or 1,000 screws or 1,000 bolts. Bottom line, now we're talking about millions. We're talking about millions of pieces. All of that is data. It's not just individual parts. All of it is data. And then the transactions is data, right? And then the company is data. So now you got millions and millions of rows of data that you're trying to digest, but it's all in a spreadsheet. So that's where Power BI comes into play. Power BI makes all of this simple. Now, if you haven't been sleeping under a log for the past 2.5, almost 3 years, you've heard about you understand the artificial intelligence wave, the artificial intelligence boom that is taking place at this point. Business intelligence is very similar, very, very similar to artificial intelligence. They haven't really began to integrate with one another 100% yet. Some companies are using Power BI and not Power BI, but business intelligence and artificial intelligence, and they're really maximizing on their efficiencies, but it's really not there yet. It's really not there yet for the total integration. But with that said, business intelligence is booming as well from within the business sector, within corporate America. So if you understand business intelligence, you are going to be able to put yourself in a different position when it comes to applying for jobs, when it comes to upskilling yourself, when it comes to being able to put yourself in the best light and being able to transition what you already do into something else, i.e. a tech career, as opposed to simply a business career, right? And I'm not necessarily knocking business. What I'm saying is, if you're already in a corporate job, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a corporate job, it could be a small business. I consider small business and corporate all the same. But if you are already working somewhere, if you're already in a place where, whether you're answering the phones or whether you're running the numbers, whether you're driving the trucks or whether you're loading the trucks, or whether you are managing managing the transportation of the loads, whether you are in the marketing department, whether you're in the finance department, whether you're in the janitorial department. You can take what you are already doing and transition that skill into transition what you are doing into a skill, into a tech skill, to make you better at what you do currently, which is also upskilling you and is putting you in a position to make more money. I'm not saying that money's everything. Money may not be everything to you. You just maybe want to be good at what you do. But I'm saying make more money, and not necessarily having to work at the company as you're working for, because all of these many other companies are looking for individuals that have the tech stack, the tech skill set to do what you do in addition to Power BI. And then once you learn Power BI, you're not just limited to just limited to the career type that you're in. You can move around and do other things with Power BI, join other companies with Power BI. For instance, say you get your skills up in Power BI, and then your company says, yeah, that's good, but we're going to give you, $1,000 raise. Okay, what's $1,000 over 365 days? I don't know. I'm gonna call them pennies. I'm not sure. Now, for some people that may be cool, but what I'm saying is, if you're making $40,000-$50,000 right now, and your boss is saying, okay, well, cool, I'm gonna give you an extra $1,000 this year, or even an extra $5,000. What I'm telling you is, learning Power BI, you're going to be able to go out there and you can negotiate with other companies to where they're going to give you not just $5,000, but maybe even 50, 60, 70 extra $1,000 than what you're making. That's a whole nother conversation. I don't even want to bog this down on making this a money conversation. I just wanted to just let you know that there is a skill set that you can learn in a relatively short period of time that will allow you to make somewhere between, I'm gonna say, $85,000 to $110,000 a year. I really like to say 100 to 105 to be a minimum, but I'm not gonna tell you not to take an opportunity that's doing something better for you, or giving you a better opportunity than what you are currently doing. What I'm telling you is the average salary is somewhere between $85,000 to $110,000 a year, getting started, not having 97,000 years of experience. Now that's coming through my course, Power of the BI. Of course, just saying, hey, Power BI, just because you can create a data visualization does not mean that you are going to make that kind of money. But coming through my course, Power of the BI, hey, what I'm telling you is really about 90 to 110 is where you're going to be, right? Now, I'm not going to guarantee you, but what I'm going to tell you is that's probably where you should be, because, if you do what I tell you to do, if you do what I show you to do, you're at about a 90 to 110. In about 2 years, my MVP circle, yeah, there's somewhere between 120 and 130. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave that there, because that's a whole nother conversation. So at the end of the day, you ask me, you say, hey, what exactly does Power BI, what does Power BI solve? What's the problem that Power BI solves? And Power BI solves, it solves the problem of making data simple. It solves the problem of making data simple, finding data, sorting data, building data visualizations, understanding the data. Because what Power BI is, Power BI at the end of the day is data visualization. So basically, you're taking all of the data and you're creating data visualizations. You say, well, Tarot, now, what exactly does data visualization mean? If you've ever been in the 5th grade or if you have a kid that has been in the fifth grade, they have created charts, and you've helped them create line charts. Just a little chart, just a do 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 do, or a bar chart with the bars in it. The column charts with the columns in it, or the bar charts with the bars in it, or a pie chart, or a donut chart. That's all you're doing. You're creating visualizations. All of those are visualizations, and you're taking the data that the company has, and you are creating the visualizations. And what that visualization looks like is, how much money did we make for the last 12 months? You have got a column for it. How much money are we spending? It's going up and down on a line chart. What percentage is the marketing department spending? What's the percentage that the human resource department is spending? What's the percentage that the finance department is spending? And it's in a pie chart, and you got different pieces of the pie. That's what Power BI is. Now, I'm not going to tell you that Power BI is not a no-coding platform. Power BI is a low to no coding platform. I have friends that have been in Power BI for years, and they've never coded, right? They've never written a computer code. The code that we use in Power BI is called DAX, which is Data Analytics Expression. I've got friends that have been in Power BI for years, and they've never used DAX. They don't use DAX. All they do is a drag and drop. And many companies are making that pretty easy to be able to do these days, because they do the coding on the back end, where the data engineers are doing the coding on the back end, and then they're bringing the data into Power BI, and all you've got to do is drag and drop it into the data visualization. What I'm here to tell you is, and what my MVP circle, those that go through. So let me say this: I have students that are in my course, Power of the BI. I have mentees that I work with and that I mentor on a weekly basis. And then I have my MVP circle. Okay, that's why when I want to clarify when I say the MVP circle. Those that are in my MVP circle are required to be at the highest level, having at least one certification, having been a mentee, and that are mentoring mentees as well. And then there are my mentees who have gone through my course, Power of the BI. And then there are my students who are in Power of the BI, who may want to become mentees at one point. They may want to become members of the MVP circle at one point. But simply put, those that take the course, they are either taking the course to increase their skills, their knowledge base of Power BI, or they are on track to becoming members of the MVP circle. But where I'm going with that is, I forgot what my train of thought was. Where I'm going with that is that just because you know Power BI, or just because you are working or building products or building applications within Power BI, it does not mean that you are it does not mean that you're an expert. But what it does do is it gives you an added benefit of how good you are at performing at certain tasks. I was really going into telling you something else, and I lost my train of thought as I was giving you the the definitions of the MVP circle, the mentee, and the student. But at the end of the day, nevertheless, I'll think about it and I'll come back up and I'll bring that back up in another video, probably after I watch this video and be like, that's what I was meaning to say. But here's the deal. I am not going to continue to beat that dead horse, because we have been here for quite some time now, and I know you are probably ready to get out of here. But so here's the deal. I am holding a free webinar. That's right, I'm holding a free webinar on Power BI. And basically, it's going to be somewhere between 75 to 90 minutes. It's a totally free webinar. I'll be totally honest with you. There is an invitation at the end. It's not, I will let you know, if you decide to join on the webinar, I will let you know when we're getting to the invitation to join the course. I'm not here to try to beat you down to join the Power of the BI course. I will let you know at the end of the webinar that, hey, now I'm going to invite you if you want to be invited. If you don't want to be invited at that point, I'll let you know that you can drop from the webinar. But I am holding a free webinar. That's right, I am holding a free webinar, and I'm inviting you to join the webinar. To learn more about Power BI, I do a presentation, an actual presentation, a creation, a mock build-up of a Power BI report, just so you can get an idea of what that really looks like. The webinar is Sunday from 3 o'clock to 4:30. Again, it's scheduled to 4:30, but it could be as quick as, as soon as 4:15. We could go an hour and a half. I'm thinking it's going to go an hour and a half, but I've blocked an hour and a half, but it could go from an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. But I want to invite you to join in on my free webinar Sunday from 3 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. and that's Central Standard Time. Again, it's 3 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, you know, if you think Power BI is good for you, I want you to join in. If you don't think that Power BI is good for you, I want you to be able to walk away. And again, I don't hold you any longer. Once I let you know, hey, we're going into the invitation to join the course, you are more than free and more than welcome to drop off. I've got tons of videos that are out there. If you really want to know Power BI and don't really want to get into the course and don't really want to spend a whole lot of time because you need your free time, I've got tons of videos that are out there that are walking you through how to create Power BI videos and Power BI projects and whatnot. So with that said, I am going to end this video now. So once again, thank you for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.